Yo, the leash is the worst.
He's gonna eat what I eat. All right, cool. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm Coach Linden, and this is
Coach Debbie here.
And we're just checking in. So I found out that the last one that we did, I did not have the sound off. So even though it was such a great corner, there was no sound.
Dang.
It happens every once in a while.
Yeah.
What did we talk about? Gratitude. We came full circle on the recent issue that we had that we're still going to deal with just because there's going to be blowback. And what makes it super interesting to me, my son's playing in the background, so I'm gonna look over a lot today. What's gonna be interesting, or what's interesting to me about it, is how it keeps coming back up, right? Like you end it, it comes back up. You end it, it comes back up. You end it again, it comes back up again, right? And my favorite part about it when it comes back up, he was fine, is the fact that as we talk about it and get into it more, like, now people are coming with like what they think their transgression was. And I'm noticing it feels like a game of telephone now. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to call anyone a liar, but I think there has been some horrible over embellishings about how things were done. And I'm going to say, I know this person is young. I know they think, I get the idea of trying to make yourself seem better to get your point across, right? Like someone has to be the hero, somebody has to be the villain. I get that concept. But I was hoping that we had stood in enough character with said individual that wouldn't be the case here. That this person would choose to not take the low road, right? Because it feels like a low road at this point. And it was something I mentioned in the beginning. Something I mentioned in the beginning was like, I'm hearing or seeing the wording being used, right? And it was, no conversation was ever had like the wording being used, right? How you feel about it, I cannot say, but what I can say is what I saw. And again, I don't even need to give this more breadth than just this. It's very disappointing when you, as a owner of space, try to meet someone more than halfway. Like let's say you go 70%, they give 30. And then, let's say you back off just a little bit. All of a sudden that person is like, you're a terrible person. They're telling everyone how terrible you are. They're using words that are very, very aggressive words for that community. Because, again, someone has to be the hero, somebody has to be a villain. I'm not a fan of that. In my old life, I would have been very aggressive, like me prior to becoming who I am today. I'd have been aggressive about this. This would have really bothered me. It would have bothered me to a point where I'd have been snapping on said individual, right? Like not being no holds barred. I don't care how you feel. I'm just going in, right? And I could say I've grown as two things, a man and a coach, right? Growing as a man requires you to realize that other people's problems don't always require a solution from you, right? Like there's not always a solution to other people's problems. Sometimes you gotta let them have what that is. And way more important is that, again, the more voice I give it, the more power it receives. So I'm bringing it up because it's a full circle moment and I am disappointed, but I'm bringing it up more so because this is the first time this has happened, but it won't be the last time someone is unhappy with us in general. Like it'll be, something else. So other people have things. My hope is that people who are curious come to the door instead of letting this one person's opinion become their lack of space for themselves. So that was because somebody brought it up today that it's even as a topic of conversation. Because again, they're still talking about it, right? In their community, they're still talking about it, which is fine. All right. So again, I like to think. Again, it's a hard stance thing, but I remember at the beginning of the whole thing that I told people about myself. I said I don't change. How I show up may change, but as a person, I don't change. right? And I think people don't realize I'm deeper truthing. I'm saying something beyond. Like, who I am at my integral core is who I am, right? If I, when I look at this situation, I believe the same thing. You are who you are. So if you create chaos, you're probably chaotic, right? If you're, someone who looks for sympathy, then you're probably not a good person in that regard, right? Because sympathy is like one of those things where you're trying to get it from other people just to, again, to make yourself feel better, right? And again, it's all good. It's just one of those things where it's like, you are who you are no matter what happens. I have to remind myself of that in moments like this, where it would be easier for me to speak poorly about the person, right? To take the person and speak badly about them, but I don't think that would do anything except for validate their responses and how they're acting. And I'm not going to do that for them. I don't know what happened to them previously. I don't know what happened at, in any spaces they inhabited before, but I won't be the example of see just like everybody else for them, right? I think there's power in that. So it's a slippery slope. And when I say it's a slippery slope, what's interesting to me is watching how, as that narrative is built, there's another narrative, and unfortunately it's not as loud, but at the same time it's twice as powerful, right? The narrative of that's not the case. And again, we get what this person is all about. They get what this space is all about. They get what's happening here. So I'm happy. I'm grateful for that shit right there. So that's what we covered in the last episode a little bit. You were gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say when it comes to, I realize when it comes to like negativity and like positive space, that the negativity will always seem louder because there's less of it. If you really pay attention, I think there's like goodness all around. There's positivity all around to be seen. And those negative moments stick out in people's minds, and they're like visceral. They make you feel because they're outside of the norm. You may be comfortable, you may be content, you may be all of these positive things, and then something comes and rocks your boat, or rocks your ship, makes you feel some type of way. And those are the moments that are prevalent and stick out. But I don't think, like you said, I think the silent positivity is more powerful than like the loud negativity. Seeing people seeking their healing, I think I do see one or the other. It's like
seeing people heal, not just seeking it, but seeing people heal.
Oh yeah.
I can give testimonies of people who have been here in the last half a year who have seen healing just by their own effort. And again, when I think of certain individual, I think of how nothing has changed for them, right? Like it's the same cycle and process over and over and over. Again, this is not your first time having an issue in a community. You get what I'm saying? And again, whatever you want to do, that's what you want to do. But at the same time, it's funny, you were saying what you're saying, and I would actually say it's the opposite. I would say that negativity does speak louder for sure, but it's because there's so much of it, and it's what the world is looking for, right? The world likes its moments of negativity. It's just like liking war or violence. Like we don't have to fight, but we choose to, and there's a reason behind that. Domination, right? Other things that come with it. But the positive stuff, while not as loud, is twice as powerful, right? Like, and that's the thing. Like for this certain individual, my silence is going to speak louder than anything that they can say in the long run. I just hate the fact that it's not the long run yet. Like we're dealing with it in the short term right now. So, and again, I fully hope that person gets what they need, right? I don't hold any grudges. Apparently they do, but I don't. And that's okay, right? I had to learn to not take on other people's burdens. That was a very large position about owning space. So when I heard those conversations, it's funny, I'd have them 100 different times if I felt like it would benefit this community, right? I'd go to their spaces, I'd talk with their people, it wouldn't bother me one bit, right? But the thing I think that gets forgotten a lot is what I said earlier. I watched the isolation and the separation that this person was trying to create, and I watched how the community that was here and people from those same spaces and places stood tall for what we believe in and what the ethos is here. And that was big. So again, I thank you for everyone who supports us. But at the same time, you know, it's tough to sit back and be quiet when you know someone's trying to destroy you, right? Like my boy used to say, let go and let God. Right, it's hard to let go and let God. Again, there's a way I'm used to retaliating that I'm choosing not to retaliate. It's not the right way. Yeah. And again, I hope that this person can do the same. Right. So, lighter news. We were talking about we got some other stuff coming. We just went to festival.
Yeah, I was gonna speak on that.
Yeah, I figured.
I was gonna tie it into this.
Oh, sure.
When you left, so we went to a festival this weekend. Yeah, it was a good time. You know,
shout out to Chris for hosting such an amazing event.
Shout out to Chris. And speaking of Chris, when you left, I was speaking with Chris, and Chris was talking about how cool it was and how thankful he was that you made it out, that I made it out. And I think that speaks to a way that I've seen you support people and support space. It's like when you do want to show support, you show up, you know, and you're there. And I think that speaks volumes. It's like, not all the time do you need to like speak, you know, or like, or say what's up. But like, if you are in space with a person, that means they have your support. You know, I think that's true. That's something I'm starting to notice, and that's powerful with you, but also powerful with me. I didn't recognize.
Yeah, you do that. You definitely do that.
I decide to spend my time is like important. It shows support.
Fair. Yes, it does.
Yeah. So I'm like, I've spent time in a lot of space, like festival space, if you will.
So this is my first one in like 10 years.
So I felt like comfortable there in a way. Like I haven't been there in a long time, but I felt comfortable there, and it was good to see you, you know, chat it up and kick it with people. And
never go as a business owner. Like a lot, I get dinged for that a lot. Like when people meet me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you do this amazing thing. Why don't you tell anyone?" But like going to somewhere like that is about connection. And and I said this, I think it was to Emily. I said it recently to somebody I was talking to. I said, you know, they were talking about the need for like status and symbols and other things like titles. And I was like, I don't give a damn about like I personally don't give a damn about titles. And because of that, when I show up as me. Whatever you take that as is going to be it, right? But I think a lot of people expect me to show up like I show up in here. Yeah. Right? Like loud, very, very commanding, like, you know, those things. Can I do that? Sure, but it's not my default. Right, it's not something I enjoy.
You gotta dig something up. You gotta like put on a hat
every single time. Yep, and again, nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things where like, if I truly do support you, it probably is in more like just showing up and being myself in those moments. And it is interesting to see how people gravitate to me now. Right, like I don't pay attention to that stuff like everybody else apparently does, but I've noticed it more recently because it's being pointed out to me, right? Kay had me dying that day, right? He's just like, no, I think one person came and talked to me. Everybody in the dojo stopped by to talk to us when we were here. Even the sensei was like, man, I was like, what you like, literally, can I sit with you guys and talk? I was like, sure, right? You know, no big deal. So there's power in both. I think there's power in silence. But what I really think there's power in, and I've said this from the beginning, is authenticity, right? I'm just being me. Wherever we go, I'm just being me. And if that opens up doors for you guys because I'm with you, I'm grateful for that. I don't always need to be the guy at the center. Like I say that all the time. I never wanted to be, right? So to me, if there's something that I need to head, that's different. But if there's something that you can have, come on. That festival was amazing. That was a gift. I was giving a gift to myself a little bit, right? Like just being there, again, spending time with those I care about outside of work. You know, like it's a lot of this is while we have a good time. This is
what we
work
do most of the time,
right? So this is work, right? And we try not to make other people feel like it's work, Yeah. But there's some times where
that's
like
part of the work.
Yeah, facts.
It's making it feel
facts.
Like
changing the music, gauging the room, making sure the workouts are accessible, right? Like Even going up with the schemes, people get so confused. You got to explain things so many times, right? Because everything's not always easy. You know what I'm saying?
And
like,
I think
there's work to that.
I think there is something to like having these podcasts for people to see that like behind the scenes there is a lot of like meticulous nature. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not us just showing up and doing the thing. We try to make sure everyone leaves out of here feeling empowered, which is a hard thing to do when we're working out, but we're also having talks and we're also, you know, like tackling mental things, spiritual things, and like to have everyone leave here and feel empowered is the goal. It may not be how it always lands for everyone.
Fair.
But that is the goal every time you walk in here, for you to leave out and have a great day going forward.
Yeah, I want to say that that's what gives it the most power is like, I will say for a fact that like the more business side of it, you know, I'm slack on, right? Like I could do a better job. But there's this piece in my brain that has always struggled with making it too business oriented and losing the community aspect. I'm figuring that out now, more so, right? Like putting it together in a way that feels like that, but like watching, think about it, man. I don't know how many people there knew Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like knew Chris.
Yeah.
Right? But somehow it's expanded to that. Now, a lot of it I think is around leisure. It's easier for people to show up, et cetera, et cetera. But we met a couple that owned a school. We met, and the husband was a certified electrician who still works. Like, we met, I met like 3 or 4 different people with amazing things that they did there. And it was just matter of factly. And it started with me just like, I was leaving in the morning and going to run.
Just talking.
So they just come up to me and start chatting, man, you really out there getting after it. Okay, it's a mile. Like it's not even, it's not nothing crazy.
It's a cool mile.
Yeah, I was like, okay, right? And but again, people want to connect. The space, the atmosphere was one of connection. So it was big on that alone. Even like trying to give you and Amy alone time so you could just be, because I understand what it's like to even have to, you don't have to entertain, but you feel like you do when other people are around. So I was like, I don't want that to be a thing for you guys when you're both here to relax. And she just performed. I was like, I don't want that. But it's so funny trying to find that balance. You know what I'm saying? The balance of connecting with people, but also giving space. Yeah. Right? Only way I know how to do that is from an authentic space. Like literally before you got there, no nonsense. I was talking to Emily and I was like, yo, I said, we're gonna give them their time to themselves. And I was like, I'm not going in the tent. I'm not like, I'm literally, but this was before you even was there. I was like, they deserve that, right? Like I appreciate it and you deserve that time, right? So I don't know. It was just one of those funny things. Like festival was, they wasn't like they was playing my music. It wasn't like I was like, hell yeah. Like it was, but the connective moments were truly connective. The people there were authentic and genuine. I'm laughing because there was a moment where we walked upstairs and you would have thought they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, but they were just blowing up an air mattress. But the way they popped up, they was like, they were like, oh, we're just up here blowing up the mattress. I was like, nobody asked. Like nobody, like, you know, it was like one of them moments, right? And that's cool. So I was grateful for it. And it was my first time away from my family probably in the last like 5 years. I haven't been away from home for more than 24 hours in 5 years away from them. Yeah. So it was I used to travel all the time. Yeah. But I promised.
I feel like you've traveled more than I know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably. But a lot of it was work, man. Like a lot of it wasn't chill and hang out. A lot of it was work. So, you know, getting to do that as an adult, like realizing that those moments are actually necessary for me to give to all of you guys is like current phase. And I might go take some trips by my motherfucking self. Like just I'm not even talking about hanging with the family. I'm talking about like time to grow and things to learn. Like you forget how important it is to let yourself grow. Again, I'm not talking about going on vacation for you. I'm trying to be nice. For you people watching this, I was trying to say for you motherfuckers watching it. For people who are watching this who think I'm talking about, man, I just got to take like 7 vacations. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm actually talking about is planning out space to create space for myself to grow.
grow.
Growth, vacation and growth are not hand in hand to me unless you plan for it, right? I'm talking about going and visiting something, going to, not going to seminars and other stuff, like planning a vacation around that absolutely makes sense to me. As a young man, never would have tried, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. It's that. Getting the name out there, getting in front of people. Like, respectfully, I don't give a damn about Rochester, right? In that regard anymore. I used to be like, let me do everything here. Let me do all that when we first opened. Yeah. Like, let me get involved in this thing. Let me go over here. Let me talk to this person. Yo, why you don't hire me? Like, asking for help and all that when we first started. And then
bigger than that.
I just was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I was like, I woke up one day. I was like, well, we gave back for the last 2 years. I'm done. And I remember Ashley being like, you just gonna be done? Yeah. It's time to create for us. Right? And that's what we've been doing. Again, I am open to all community collaborations. I'm just not saying yes to everything anymore. Right? That's what I used to do. So again, we did COVID, we did yoga through COVID. We didn't charge nobody. And when I tell you the community responded, they responded. It was dope. Some dope opportunities came from that. But now when I give back, I don't expect anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like before, I would have expected, like and share my stuff. Now I just be like, well, we here. If you want to give money, you can. But we just want to show love. Right?
I think that's also something I'm learning is like, it's way more powerful to be working on building your own thing. And, the community comes together, then the people come into your life that need to, at the right moments, to help you build that thing, as opposed to, giving away self to other people's projects or other people's things. There's a time and a place for that, but if you don't have your own thing,
right.
I think for a long time I just didn't have my own thing, and I was just giving away my energy.
Yeah, it's scary too.
Yeah,
it's scary to realize that you need to build a foundation, and it's not easy to walk yourself into doing so when you have fear around it. Right? Like I didn't grow up with financial literacy like that. My parents tried, so there were certain things that I had no idea. It's not easy to walk into an office and say, I have no idea, right? Like that's not an easy thing for the average person to do. I was actually talking with a friend about this. They were talking about like living more authentically, finding it, and then they kept using words like new thing, new acquired, like let's say attitude, new acquired wording or new acquired understanding. And it was funny. They were saying it, I heard the big man voice, and I heard it's not something you're learning, it's something you forgot, right? And from that point, like I heard that a while ago. I was just reminded of it, right? Like me being me ain't what's the word I'm looking for? Me being me isn't trying to be the gym owner or trying to be the best husband. It's just me being me, and then finding extensions of that in being a husband, right? Like finding how I would be the husband I want to be, the father I want to be. Yeah. That's what I find myself doing. That's why a long time ago I didn't compromise on my integrity, right? So it does hurt to have a question for sure, but I also understand who I am well enough to realize that you can't really. You don't understand my integrity, but you can damn sure question it,
And I think that is something I used to struggle with, is like the identity, like how do I express myself authentically while moving through what felt like hoops.
Sure.
And the way you put it, that's kind of how I transformed for myself. It's like I'm looking to walk into a more authentic version of myself. So I'm always asking like, what would future Devi do? Or how would future Devi wear this hat, and authentically. So that felt different to me than me trying to jump through these like prescribed hoops.
Fair.
And it helped me move forward and like getting shit done. Cause like a lot of the time I'd be like, there'd be fear around just starting a thing, just initiating a thing.
Complacency, fear.
Yeah, and it came from me being like, I don't want to lose myself in this, like I don't feel that this is 100% me.
Ironically, I think that's why a lot of people don't tap in,
Yeah.
like to certain things, like, you know what I'm saying, communities, friendships, relationships in general. Yeah. They end up not tapping in because they're like, well, I don't want to lose myself. And then I've had to say stuff like, because again, it's important, right? It's important to be honest. And again, if you know this about me, I feel like I have to be honest with people because I may never see you again. And I don't want you to leave. I don't want you to leave my presence and I didn't tell you exactly what I knew to tell you. So I try my best to never do that, right? Even if it's like me and Ashley, back and forth. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to bend and be somebody I'm not. And if this is the last time I see you, you'll know that you're no longer here, but I stood on telling you the truth, being integral with you, right? Like you'll know that, and that's important to me. On the mark I choose to leave on the world. So I actually don't look at it as like future self looks at. I look at past self. Goggins has a great way of describing this. He calls it putting cookies in the cookie jar, right? No matter what type of cookie it is, no matter flavor, size, shape, you can put cookies in the cookie jar. I like to think of those as what most people use as like affirmations, confirmations, and then assessments of self, right? Or let's call them victories, right? So if you have, sometimes you got to remind yourself who you are, right? Like, somebody had challenged you, right? And then you got to say, well, I'm Dukes, man. Like the fuck am I falling? Why am I worried about what this other motherfucker said? Like I know who I am. I used to sell drugs to our community. I used to be a pariah in society. I was like, I held a space for people that I don't even understand, and they feel more safe here than they do in spaces that say they understand them. I know who the fuck I am. I'm so authentic that you questioning my authenticity is a joke, right? I have to say stuff like, and sometimes out loud. Sometimes out loud.
Oh yeah.
That's your confirmation and your affirmation in one thing. Well, why am I here? What am I doing? What is this? That's important, right? So I think those moments help draw those parallels. And again, that's leaning on looking at the journey as a whole. Feel me? So it's not looking at it as, I got to get there. It's like, I already got the skill to get there. What I already need is already in me, right? So like when respectfully, when the women in the space come arguing with me, right? I'm like, I've been arguing for the last 20 years. You ain't gonna shake me at all, right? And they sometimes I gotta say it out loud. You've heard me say it. Man, you're not gonna trip me up. I've argued for 20 years. You're not tripping me up in your 2-year stint of thinking you know yourself. I got 20 years in the game, right? That's a moment. In the cookie jar.
Yeah.
That's a cookie jar. I'm pulling the cookie out. 20 years married. Again, conflict doesn't bother me that way, right? You're not gonna throw me off. Oh, you like to say crazy stuff? So does my wife, right? Like it doesn't throw me off because again, I know who I am. That's why I can say stuff like that, right? So I think it's more, I would say that approach. That's the approach I would look at it as like, again, what have you already done? What has already happened to you that allows you to be there?
Yeah, I think we are talking the same thing.
We are.
Yeah,
we are.
I look at it very similarly. I think when you said nothing new, that's really what I'm referring to. It's like that future Devi is just a deepened understanding of who I am right now.
I'm just talking about steps and processes to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
So like for people watching, and even for us, like sometimes you'll share something and it's like,
close.
Yeah, it'll be the thing that you're looking for with a jump, and then it's just a bridge the gap moment. Sometimes you'll say things that I've like already gone through, but it helps me understand the process better. It's that, and that's why we work so well together. We work so well together because, first of all, there's not a lot of ego here. Like, there's some ego about being better than each other. That's awesome. Again, it's healthy. It's not unhealthy. I noticed a long time ago that, again, that type of competition is absolutely awesome. Like, you should want that type of competition in your life. And again, a lot of people don't have it in a healthy manner. I've noticed that about relationships in general. There's dynamics that could be very positive, but because they're unhealthy, they end up not, right? Which is why, again, alone time, fostering, love languages, all that, I try to make sure I understand that stuff and give accordingly. So I'm glad it lands, brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's already 12:02, man. We've been talking for a second.
Dang,
it's been that quick. Hey, so thank you so much for watching. I definitely want to say, of course, like, share, and subscribe is like your normal thing to say. But you can also find us on social media at the name Getting It Daily on Instagram and Facebook. Also check out our website if you're interested in training with us. There's consultation forms, and what times trainings and classes are actually on our website as well. www.gettingitdaily.com. So hit us up if you want to join. Thank you so much for joining us today. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.
Oh.